have Draven Nami, which is a really strong combo.
Yeah.
I mean, Draven's already fast because of one of his abilities, but then you speed him up with Nami, you give him a slow. That's really hard to deal with. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually go against Shen and allow Ezreal and allow Thresh to go farm in another lane, because it's really hard to go head-to-head against a Draven nowadays. And I wouldn't be surprised. That should be what happens. But we saw Weewa Fairler actually yesterday use Janna, and he had heal on obviously the support, and it actually saved Lemondogs in quite a few fights against Fnatic, if I remember correctly.
Well, I don't think we're going to be seeing that from him today. It looks like Ignite on Flash is what he's going to be going for here. On the other side, pretty standard stuff. Charu's got Teleport, even though he's playing Twisted Fate, which is something that Charu does all the time, literally every single time. It doesn't matter who he is, he likes to play with that teleport.
Yeah, he needs more than one. Like, one is never enough for him. Yeah, he wants to be on the bottom side of the map, but then a second later be at the top side. And I mean, we've talked about it so many times. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing for Charu? He's made it work really well sometimes. It's not worked out so well some other times. We've seen so many opportunities where he could have picked up a kill if he was in fact running that Ignite. And when you're against, right now, Nukeduck, who is running Flash Ignite on his Kassadin, he can kill you. Like, you have to have some sort of defense against that, and that means he's not looking to pick up any kills in lane.
Well, now we see the Lemondogs on your screen looking very quiet today. They are a loud bunch, actually. They may seem to be very shy, but I think once they get going, these guys can be very loud. MeetYourMakers, I'd say a very similar demeanor, even, you know, with the size of Libic, who looks like he should, by all rights, scream as loud as Aranea every time he opens his mouth. Pretty quiet guy as well. So really interested to see how this one goes. As he said, 5 for 4, MeetYourMakers. Lemondogs currently sat out 4 for 5. So if Lemondogs can pick this one up, they'll actually be tied. And
the thing is, we mentioned, I think at the top of the show, is that the bottom 4 beat the top 4 yesterday. And Lemondogs now are almost on the top side of, well, actually, they pretty much are. They're in the middle / top right now. And to have all of the 3 new teams coming into Spring Split of LCS being the top of the standings is pretty much, was unexpected.
So here we go then, into game, MeetYourMakers versus Lemondogs, our final game of week 3 here in the European LCS. Let's see how this one all works out, as the early flags coming down there from Dexter just to check that they weren't camping in that brush off to the side. A ward that was put down from We Will Fail will actually spot this early invade from MeetYourMakers.
So they're being very aggressive right off the bat. It looks like they will be able to secure that blue away, but I was taking a... Oh, actually, they're just going to ward up. They're just putting some deep wards in and are going to back away. And I was taking a look at runes real quick, or in Masteries, before we actually got underway, and Mackler is using 9% lifesteal and 3% spell veb, obviously from the utility tree, but 2 armor pen, 2 flat armor pen. Every Draven we've seen so far in the Spring Split of LCS has been using, or sorry, Summer Split of LCS has been using 19 armor pen, or around that range, because they want to be able to just chunk you down right away. And considering that 0-0 has a Doran shield and the health pot, it looks like he will be in that 1v2 situation. But MeetYourMakers, they're warding up everything, and they have like no wards left to go back to lane with. This is very dangerous.
Now, there's still one there for Libic, and as you said, it's kind of surprising because of the fact that you've got that Nami in there. It only takes 1 good Aqua Prison to actually land, and you've got free damage basically coming out there. So obviously Mackler going a different route, but who are we to question how he's going to build it there, and we'll see how that one all works out for him in the end. Kassadin did put this ward down as well on the blue buff of MeetYourMakers, so we'll see if they go for anything. There was Nukeduck and Kubon just pretty much face-checking each other there in the bottom, but this is the interesting thing from the start. Lemondogs going to be stealing away the red.
And the thing is that MeetYourMakers doesn't know that's happening, because Lemondogs has a ward at the blue buff, so they know where Makata is. They're going to know if he's going to head towards the red or not, or go down towards his own red, but they're going to be able to get their own blue, get their own red here, and that's going to give Dexter a very strong start. Actually, they're sending Mackler middle. So it looks like they want to really contest these buffs as Libic getting caught. And remember, Dexter has red buff here. This could be very bad.
Probably not going to be able to get away from this one very easily without the use of that flash. But Makata coming from that top side as well will force Dexter to back away. The Kassadin, of course, up to level 6, not exactly the most mobile of champions.
Yeah, I mean, Kuba taking heavy damage, but I'm forced to flash right away. But we have to remember that Charu, or Twisted Fate against a Kassadin, Twist of Fate won't win that in the end. As we do see, Makati actually invading here, gets Dexter pretty low.
Yeah, Dexter is going very low, but that's the beauty of the Draven. He's able to slide away, but can he actually contest here for this blue buff? We have Thresh and Ezreal both coming in to join this one as well. Makata gonna smite that one down there, and that will refresh his blue buff as they go into We Will Fail It. He will flash away as well from that one. Ignite's gonna go down. They go in for We Will Fail It, but Makata is falling low here. Who's gonna go down first? It is gonna be Makata, and it was We Will Fail It who picked it up. Libic's gonna die here. Now Makla's gonna be the champion of choice to go for. He will fall. That's a kill coming down for Dexter, and now they turn around onto Kuban. This is a crazy start. Already 3 men down for one team, 1 for the other, and with that, Lemondogs deciding enough is enough. They're happy with that initial trade.
Wow, what a great play of Lemondogs trying to pick up those 3 kills right off the bat. I remember correctly, they did get first blood right there, but wow, I mean, MeetYourMakers just overextend their stay a little bit. They had the numbers because they had Mackler and Libic obviously from the middle lane, but wow, that is not the start you want to see. Makati, level 3, he wanted to keep those buffs for as long as possible, but now, Dexter, who didn't get the blue right away, was able to get it in the end, and now he's going to be able to gank a lot earlier than Makati will.
And if you look where those kills went as well, 1 for Jarvan, 1 for Ezreal, 1 for the support Thresh, and 2 assists pretty much across the border for them as well. And right now they're going to be going in once again on towards Makler. Not quite got the damage, but now it's turned around again. Dexter's got double buffs on. He's going to fall. It's Makata that picks them up. And these buffs have been exchanged here another time.
Too bad we're not going to see every single member of the game have at least 1 buff. That would be hilarious. But great job on Makati, realizing that Dexter will most likely come around middle again. He's actually going to steal away the red from Dexter here. And that's actually a fantastic play. I mean, MeetYourMakers, from the mess up they just had, to come back like that was phenomenal, and it really keeps them in the game.
Shen actually left that top lane, which is why Makata started to back away. He's actually a level less than Shen here, but honestly, Shen at level 4, it's not as if he's pumping out a ton of damage towards you. But that red buff is going to be started here. There is an ignite up for Makata. They actually joined the game in the wrong order there, which I just noticed, as we are going to see the kill on towards Kuban down in that bottom lane. Looked far too easy, that one for the Lemondogs.
Yes, it definitely did, and now we praised Kuban actually earlier in the before the game started about being a fantastic Aurelia, but he hasn't been able to show it just yet. And MeetYourMakers being a very aggressive middle, they're shutting down Nukeduck very well, and that's what they needed to do. Whenever you see that cast in, you don't let him get that 1v1, and you don't give him the opportunity to hit level 6 early on and be able to roam around.
So the outer turret in mid lane already taking a bit of hammer from MeetYourMakers. Are they going to be able to stop them doing this here? I mean, there's always that danger that Libby will pull them up, because the Lemondogs are looking to make sure that they get that first turret of the game here. A lot of pressure, and they will probably be able to take it with this wave, actually. Kuban has started to come back in. The question is, do Lemondogs really want to get rid of it so early on? Kuban, he's going to get hooked in, but they decide not to follow things up, and the minions themselves are going to take down this tower.
This is very unusual for Lemondogs, because they are the slowest first turret taking team at 13:10, which, if you look at their counterparts, MeetYourMakers, the second quickest at 8 minutes and 23 seconds in the summer split. Like, that's not a good sign. We mentioned how many times that MeetYourMakers, if they don't get the first turret, if they don't get control of the game early on, they tend to just slip away and eventually lose the game. And I want to see if they've been able to fix that overnight.
Not going to be something that you can, I think, so easily fix
overnight.
It's definitely that's a big problem for them at this point, as we are seeing Makler and Libic still putting down the pressure here onto this middle outer turret. Nukeduck actually going to be recalling here, so I'll leave things pretty open for Makler and Libic to be doing even more damage. And I think as soon as he spots Makata coming in, he realizes that that turret is in some real danger. He's called Dexter in to give him some help as well.
And Makai's just sticking around middle quite a bit right now. We do see, actually, We Will Fail It coming up from behind them here. Are they actually going to go for an attack? But, no, it looks like they're going to back away, let that tower go, so now we're going to be tied up here.
For me, that's a bit of a mistake from Lemondogs. I don't think that they needed to lose that turret like they did there. I think a bit more pressure would have worked it out for them, but in the end, credit to where it's due for MeetYourMakers picking that one up. Still leaves us with a 600 gold lead for the Lemondogs, obviously, with that 4-2 kill score right now. If you look down the early CS, Twisted Fate versus Kassadin, 45-17. That's a ridiculous lead already for Charu.
And I'm curious how we really look at this in the end, because, I mean, obviously we had the AD carry middle lane, so if you look middle versus middle, he's up a large amount of CS. If you look him versus AD carry, he's still up in CS. You look at him versus top lane, he's still up. So overall, Backer's been doing a phenomenal job of just farming away, not to mention keeping Nukeduck out-farmed right now. I mean, we saw this happen yesterday where he was playing Fizz. He was getting out-farmed, he wasn't able to make any plays early on, but eventually when he was finally level 6, when he was finally able to roam around and pick up some kills, he turned that around completely.
Right now, Lemondogs going to be stealing away the blue buff of MeetYourMakers, which Twisted Fate, you know, he gets that natural mana back, obviously, from his blue card, but still, blue buff's a nice thing to have, especially with the changes to Destiny at these lower levels.
Exactly. Yeah, he definitely needs that cooldown reduction so he can ult around quite a bit more. But, you know, being the top lane, the only lane he can really gank from there is middle. Usually, if you see Twisted Fate top, he'll just back to base, he'll actually just head straight to bottom and then, you know, make that gank happen while, you know, the jungler will go top lane and then defend the turret. But either way, looks like...
Well, you say that, but it's Charu and he's running teleport.
That is true. That is definitely true. You know, sometimes I forget about that. It's like Twisted Fate. He doesn't have 2 teleports, but we do see Lemondogs actually with a pink ward on We Will Failure. So Dragon is a possibility, or he could just clear out a ward on their own blue, because they did see that come down.
Yeah, they're going to be in there right now. The AD carries are slugging it out in that bottom lane. Tabs has currently got a bit of a disadvantage when you compare him over towards Makler, who's right now 11 CS ahead of him. We'll see with that BF sword if he decides to go aggressive at some point. Right now, Nukeduck and Dexter going to be dealing with the blue buff. No, Dexter actually took that one.
That is a mistake. I'm not sure what exactly happened right there. I mean, they were under no threat. They had a pink ward spotting anyone coming in. And Nukeduck, he has a tier. He needs that stack. He needs to be able to get around with his Rift Walk, and it uses so much mana that if he doesn't have the blue, then he's not going to be able to do that. And now that's going to shut him down for a lot longer, where he can't roam around. He can't pick up kills, and he's against an Aurelia right now.
On the other side, it does give Dexter that boost that he, to the lead that he already has over Makata in levels and in CS as well. Currently 41 to 23 on that front. We are going to see Dexter now coming on towards the top. Charo just flashing away from the Cataclysm.
Well, there you go, talking about the blue buff. I mean, having that available, Cataclysm's not going to be down that long, so to be able to make that happen again very shortly. And so do see Kuwani actually push lane very quickly. He's still ahead right now, technically, of Nukeduck. And he is behind, obviously, the Zora Zero. We do see the 3-man push from MeetYourMakers bottom lane. They already got 1 turret, and they're trying to be aggressive. They're trying to take control of this game. And if Lemondogs don't stop this, if they don't do something about it, then honestly, MeetYourMakers can kind of snowball this.
Now as the Aqua Prism actually landing, but MeetYourMakers a little bit wary of that hook to come out and decided not to really follow on. If you look at the gold, it's completely equalized itself up now. There's around about 100 difference between the two teams. But, you know, talking about that blue buff, and the fact is that Nukeduck, honestly, he's not got much room to be roaming around right now that you know, love to see with a Cassidy, quite frankly, because he is so far behind at this stage that he needs to be in that lane.
And he has to remember, he's against MeetYourMakers. We know them now as a team that wards your jungle like crazy. They will put down as many wards as possible to get vision across the entire jungle. So if he was going to do that, it would have to be down the lane, which means he'd be really far away from getting back and keeping his CS up, which... Look how much he's down. 53 currently to his counterpart in the top lane.
Oh, there's Charo actually getting taunted up.
I was like, my math sucks. It's 43.
I brushed over it because I'm not a maths man either. As Charo actually going to pop Destiny and says, I saw you coming there, Nukeduck. You're not going to get me. And that will open up a Dragon with the fact that Cassidy's got up to the top. And yes, he does have Rift Walk, but is he really going to be able to get down here fast enough? As we are going to see the True Shot Barrage coming across, the ultimate going in on towards We Will Failure, and they throw everything at the Thresh. He is going to fall. There is Charu teleporting in around the back. Now they focus on towards Tabs. Or when I say focus, I'll say that in the lightest terms, because really they didn't decide to go in for him after he got stunned up. And now Jarvan's coming in. Nukeduck is at the back as well. This could actually be dangerous for MYM.
I mean, they only got 1 kill off of this, and now they're being forced away here, and that means that Lemondogs might be able to pick up Dragon themselves if they want to go for it, but it looks like they're just comfortable with going back, just farming away, and MeetYourMakers going to go for a 4-man push here. Potentially 5-man, as it looks like Char will be back, and so 4-man push on this bottom turret, and they're looking for the second one of the game.
Let's see if they can actually get this one down. There's 3 men there right now for Lemondogs. The Jarvan that's got Cataclysm available already. The fact is that you've got Shen in there as well, who can taunt you up underneath the turret. Not the easiest bunch of champions to be taking a turret from right under their nose, but seems like MeetYourMakers are just going to wedge themselves in for it. You
know, considering that Mokata got shut down really early on by having his red buff taken away, I mean, obviously we were able to pick up kills, and actually no, he died, sorry about that. But he's actually been equal in levels as Dexter, because he's been sticking in these lanes, because he's been helping shove, he's been getting that free experience, and it hasn't let Dexter get really far ahead of him. The CS isn't that different between the two, it's mostly in the other lanes at this point.
Yeah, Aurelia actually pretty much the only one behind if you take away the jungle, because Makata really has just been in those lanes constantly, and he's going to be farming that one straight back up. Has gone in towards that middle lane as well. Gone for that Sheen first of all, picking up the Ruby Crystal there. Looks like he's going straight in for a good old Trinity Force.
We hardly see those anymore these days, and he might actually go like a kind of full DPS build with a Rayleigh, building into a Blade of the Rune King right after, then getting straight tank after that. So, almost getting stopped backing away right there, but honestly, like, once he picks up that Triforce, even before then, he's going to have so much damage, but who do you hit? It's pretty much only Tabs at this point, because Zoro Zero can be very strong tank, Dexter as well, and getting into the backlines against Tabs, who's an Ezreal, is going to be very hard, so sticking to a champion, he's going to have a tough time to do.
Well, the fact is, if they can manage to do that, you know, Shen and Jarvan are not going to be putting out the massive amounts of damage that they're going to need to be winning these fights, especially, you know, with the likes of Draven in there who can take you down very, very quickly anyway. The Dragon, of course, wasn't taken earlier on. That one is still living somehow, and they may try to close in on that one. Nukeduck here going to be stood on top of a ward. Kuban got full vision of him there, and they seem to be a little bit wary, MeetYourMakers, of going for it.
Yeah, I'm not... Well, I don't know, it's like a very weird point in the game. Like, it's a very intense point in the game where if you do go for it and you lose it, you can fall really far behind. Where MeetYourMakers, like we said before, they want to be in control. They're trying to force Lemondogs to react, but they don't really care at this point. You know, Charo, he doesn't have his teleport up to get down there, but obviously Zoro Zero will with his ultimate in a few seconds. So MeetYourMakers trying to make something happen, but nothing's really coming of this. If anything, Nukeduck's just getting free farm middle.
This blue buff may go over to MeetYourMakers. They sent a 4-man team up there to make sure that they can capture this one. We've got Dexter over the side, and actually Dexter did manage to pick that one up, so nicely done from Lemondogs.
But Nukeduck's a little sad walking away with his head down, like,
walked in as if,
I
like,
wanted it.
Oh, yeah, but he doesn't get it again. But, you know, he has got a little bit of CS under his belt, but the problem there with that as well is that Charo himself has been farming this entire time, and he's up to 130 CS now. He's
going to be a real pain to deal with. And you mentioned something earlier about Shen and Jarvan not having that much damage, and we've seen the meta kind of go towards a 3 DPS team with the top laner being like half tank, half damage at the same time. Because if you have, you know, a tanky top laner, like a straight tank top lane, a straight pretty much tank jungle, which you normally will have, that means if your mid lane and your AD carry gets shut down early on, which so far it's happened, then you're not going to have any damage in these team fights. So MeetYourMakers, they have that, you know, 2.5 DPS team right now, and it's really hard to deal with for Lemondogs. I mean, obviously they have the tank lineup, but when it comes to that point in the game when they're going 5v5, MeetYourMakers will out-damage them, and Lemondogs can't out-tank that.
And we see Kassadin headed up to that Rod of Ages, which itself takes time. Even when you've managed to get the money in there to buy it, it's still going to take time to charge itself up. So that's the, you know, going to be a little bit of time before Nukeduck can really be getting involved. Certainly not had the impact on the game that you'd like to probably see from a Kassadin, especially with a Twisted Fate on the map, but that's simply because MeetYourMakers have done their most favorite thing in the world and controlled the pace and the style of this game all on their own, and we are going to see them now going on towards Tabs. They need to be careful though. Dexter is here off to the side as the tidal wave comes around. Kuban actually coming through here as the ultimate comes out from Dexter. There is Kuban. Charu going to join in as well. The Cataclysm going to lock a couple of them up, but are they going to be able to get through for this? Charu has pulled the stun card. There are the wild cards to take out We Will Failure, and that will be a straight 2 for 0 and quite possibly another turret.
Yeah, easily. And you saw MeetYourMakers, they actually killed Tabs before Zoro Zero could get there and really help out. It's a fantastic job. And they're trying to defend this turret as much as they can, but against the 5 members of MeetYourMakers, that's not going to happen. And I was going to say a little bit earlier that Nukeduck, even though he's down in CS, he hasn't died in lane, which is really hard, or it's really easy to do, really easily to die, but he has 2 assists, and he snowballed like that last game with his Fizz, but with the way MeetYourMakers is playing, as a Dragon looks like finally will be taken down after 16.5 minutes, then he could catch up.
Oh, Charo actually going in here on towards Zoro Zero. Probably not much of a dent that you can put onto him at this point, although Charo does have that Rabadon's death cap already finished up in that one. If we look down the AD carries, both currently got a Bloodthirster, but I think Draven's got a whole lot of money to spend here.
Yeah, it looks like he probably will, as he does back away with 1,800 at this point. And that is going to be very deadly. He's going to be going for that Last Whisper relatively soon to pick up. And not to mention, as we saw the gold really quickly, Kuban sitting on 2,000 gold. So he's going to have that Trinity Force when he goes back, or when he decides to finally go back, when he has, like, when he's comfortable with how much money he currently has. And he's going to be very dangerous when these fights start to begin.
Well, he is going to be headed back right now. Going to be picking up the Phage here. As you said, he's got already that money for the Trinity Force already pretty much saved up. He's been saving a while for that one. The Dragon and those 2 turrets really coming in handy at that point. So that's, you know, that's already the first major item that he wanted to get on that Irelia. If it was Season 2, we'd be talking about, you know, get a GA and you're all set now.
Exactly.
Not quite the same year anymore, but we may end up seeing him going in towards that Guardian Angel later on. There was a pickaxe picked up there as well for Draven, also upgrading those boots to Berserker Greaves. And the thing is, we got that tier stack in here on Ezreal once again. And we know that if an Ezreal goes down a certain route when he's behind, he's going to find it hard to get back in. Yeah. I think especially against someone like Draven, who is literally in your face.
And the thing is, it was blue build that he's ended up going pretty much. So if you fall behind, definitely, like you said, you're not going to be able to catch up that easily. And he actually bought tier first, which is a little bit unusual. As Doublelift talked about, you know, if you're going to go blue build, I believe it was Doublelift, then you need to go for a damage item first. You have to have something to, you know, really keep you in lane, to keep you in terms of damage equal with your counterparts. So that's going to be a little bit dangerous. But you do see Nukedog, like you mentioned before, picked up the Rowdy Aegis, but it's going to take time to stack.
We'll be stacking as we go here. MeetYourMakers right now are actually grouping up towards this inner turret in the mid lane. They've already taken down all 3 outer turrets. They've taken the inner turret in the bottom lane. They're up 4-1 right now, and not far away from 6,000 gold in the lead, which is a pretty big amount at 19 minutes in, as we are going to see that True Shot Barrage coming in. They've managed to hook Makato, and he's not quite as tanky as MeetYourMakers would have been hoping for at this point. He gets taken very low, and now Lemondogs chasing.
He might? No, I don't think they're actually able to catch up here, but still, I mean, if maybe that silence went off a little bit quicker, they might have been able to burst Makade down, but still, that was Makade. That was like the tankiest member of MeetYourMakers, and he didn't last that long at all. So it's going to make Lemondogs feel good. And I was wondering, you know, we mentioned against Fnatic, when they were behind, they still made, you know, ballsy plays, really aggressive plays, and it worked out for them. And they haven't done that just yet. I'm waiting for those to come in.
Looks like they're going to be going for more buff control as Tabs forced to Arcane Shift completely away. That takes him out of you know, the danger here of coming around to take their own blue buff. I almost said steal there because it feels like MeetYourMakers own this buff at this point. And if you look again at the minimap, this is something that we talked about before with MeetYourMakers. The amount of wards that they put down in your jungle once those outer turrets go down is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm really, I want to talk to Lilig about that because it's a hit or miss. Like, it can work really well for you, or in other cases it can work really bad if the team pushes against you and you're not fighting on that side of the map. But think of what he could have bought if he didn't put that many wards down. Like, he could have a Philo Stone, so he could be building up, you know, some GP10 there. He could have actually gone maybe a little bit of AP item if he wanted. But I mean, I don't know. It's been working out extremely well for them so far in the summer split. I wonder if it'll keep working out that way.
Well, that's the key, as you said. If they force you back and those wards don't quite mean as much, but with those outer turrets down, it's always hard because that generally means that you're behind in the game anyway if you've lost all 3 of your outer turrets, and that you can't really afford to fight, so therefore you can't really push back in terms of map control. But if we look here, Libic coming into this top side does have that Oracle now running, so he's going to be clearing what little vision the Lemondogs actually have. And Zoro Zero going to find him there. He knew that Kubon was around somewhere and didn't want to get involved in that.
Shootfish, go back to the water is what he said to him. And we do see the CS lead. It's building up even more. It's almost 100 CS between the mid laners, or the quote-unquote mid laners with Charu and Nukedog at this point. And that is ridiculous. Look how much more gold overall that Charu has. That's insane. I mean, on a Twisted Fate who can split push on you easily, if he goes for the Lich Bane relatively soon, it's going to be so hard to deal with him. And just the death cap he has, the wave clear, where Lemondogs doesn't have wave clear. Like, they can just constantly shove the lanes as much as they want. He does have blue buff this time, and he actually went for distortion boots, so the teleport can be on a really quick cooldown as well as the flash.
Yeah, pick those distortion boots up, I think before the death cap actually, or maybe in the same round, since they did have that time in the game where they did get a big chunk of gold with Dragon and kills, and those 2 bottom lane turrets as well. Right now though, settling down a little bit as both teams fight for that control of the jungle, where the Oracles and those Ruby Sightstones really coming into play. MeetYourMakers have now started to group up, see if they're able to push in. That turret is not super healthy at this point, as they are going to land the hook there on towards Dexter. Actually gets hit with the bubble as well. Will they try and turn this around to your Lemondogs? I think they were waiting for We Will Fail It to maybe grab one.
And I kind of like what MeetYourMakers is doing, but it's also working against them. So if they're not able to get damage onto the turret, since they're all grouped up like this, anyone on Lemondogs just split pushes themselves, they're going to start out-level them. Look at 0-0 between him and Kuban. He already has a 2-level advantage. Obviously, you know, with Charu and Nutek, it's pretty much in the same boat there, but they're pretty much limiting themselves on experience right now.
Yeah, actually 3 levels between Charu and Nutek at this point. And Nutek, you know, been a bit of a non-starter so far this Kassadin. And that's really down to how MeetYourMakers set themselves up in the lanes here. I'm going to see another Dragon coming into play now, and MeetYourMakers already set up for this one.
It looks like they'll be just pretty much giving away to them completely, and they're shutting down Lemondogs, where they usually excel at these Dragons, since they're tied for first about how many Dragons they've gotten so far in the summer split with alternate. So they're pretty much shutting them down in terms of that case. Like, they know the plan that Lemondogs wants to make happen, but they're not letting that actually, you know, go through. And because of that, you look at these item differences where Kuban, he has a Giant's Belt now, so he's getting to that point where he's going to be really hard to deal with, especially for Tabs, who, you know, doesn't really have Last Whisper built up just yet. It won't be built for a little bit longer, and Kuban should be very close to getting, you know, a very tanky, I believe he's going Random's Omen, so that Warden's Mail.
Yeah, gonna be a bit dangerous, I think, once they get to that point. And that gold lead just starting to creep to towards that 10,000 gold mark, to be honest. That's the way that it's certainly heading, 28.6 to 35.8 at this point. And Maklet continuing to rack up the creeps as he pushes through this bottom lane. There's no inner turret there, so you'd have to push pretty far to actually do some serious damage with that one, which is not something that you want to do. Although, if anyone can do it, it's probably MeetYourMakers with the amount of wards that they like to put down in that enemy jungle. But for now, it has turned into that more... we can't really call it a stalemate here, because it is right now heavily in favor of MeetYourMakers, but very much more passive game than it was earlier.
It's kind of MeetYourMakers slowly grinding Lemondogs into submission, because Libic, this is his second Oracle of the game that he's picked up, and what he's doing is he's taking away every amount of vision that Lemondogs has in their own jungle and putting his own wards down. So that means they're strangling them in terms of gold off the jungle creeps, so they're slowly getting further and further ahead. The gold lead's getting further and further apart, and they're going to try to win that way, it looks like. Which honestly isn't really their style, but it's working out for them.
Well, they're going to be headed in once again towards that inner mid turret, and as soon as they do for a second or third or maybe even fourth time in a row, the True Shot Barrage comes through, clears out the minions, and they kind of go back to the drawing board of that halfway point here through that middle lane. We'll see if they can get any further out from that. But as you said, it's probably going to take another Dragon or two here for MeetYourMakers to really be in their comfort zone. The Lich Bane is now added in towards that Rabadon's Death Cap. So now Charu may be able to start split push, and as I say that, he is actually doing it right now up in that top lane.
Oh, Dexter, he is spotted there. He's going to go for try to get the steal yet again, but either way, it means Nutek won't be able to get another blue, and he's got to be sad casting at this point. And I think that breaking point is going to come around Baron. And I say that because MeetYourMakers so far are the quickest first Baron taking team in the summer split of LCS at around 23:55, and they've only given up one Baron in the entirety so far of the split. So I think that's where they really like to close out the game, taking Baron and then just pushing for that win. But they get 2 turrets in a row off of that, and that 10,000 gold lead's almost right back.
Yeah, almost right in there. Wards replace those turrets and keep the vision high on this one. There's the flag coming over the top from Dexter just to see if they could figure out where MeetYourMakers were exactly. Libic needs to be careful there, because that little Oracle sign above his head probably attracts a Jarvan or two inside of his own jungle. Like to get rid of that one for them, and you can see the kind of line of wards there. You can almost trace Libic's path through the jungle into that top lane and then down through the other side. So now they're doing everything that they really love to do at this point. It looks like Lemondogs, I don't know, maybe they're going to go for something a little bit desperate here. And as I say that, Destiny will probably just say, okay, back.
Yeah, they're going to back away off that one. But yeah, I mean, desperate and aggressive at the same time. Like we saw them against Fnatic, going for some big fights where they probably shouldn't win. And a big fight like that honestly would catch MeetYourMakers off guard, where they're like, they have all the vision on the other side of the map, but how are they going to fight without vision? Like, where they don't know where Lemondogs are, because they know where they are 100% of the time at this point, since they're constantly pushing onto the other side of the map.
Yeah, but 6-1 in turrets. That tells a bit of a scary story here for Lemondogs. They've not been past the halfway line here for what feels like 13 minutes, almost half of the game or so by now. MeetYourMakers just, as you said, slowly but surely strangling them out, take those jungle creeps as they come up, make sure that vision actually remains. And that's the problem for We Will Fail. Number one is that can't really afford to keep picking up oracles or even an oracle at this point. So he's had to put a little bit more into pink wards, which, you know, economically for the amount of wards that he's going to have to clear at this point, obviously don't work out on that sense either. So Lemondogs, they probably need a big play here.
I really... Oh, we just... Oh, they had no vision there, but I really want to know what the reason for this out of MeetYourMakers to grind it out like this, because SK, they did against Fnatic earlier today. Were able to get their first win because it seemed like they didn't know where to engage or how far ahead they were, but MeetYourMakers being almost 10,000 gold ahead, do they know this? Like, do they know they have this big of a lead? And they're going to start Baron here, but they're currently sitting on a ward, so we should see Lemondogs actually respond to this.
For me, I think MeetYourMakers should probably be backing away from this one. They've got vision of the enemy jungle. They know that they're going to be coming in, and for me, the positioning that they take there, MYN, just screams we don't want to fight yet.
Yeah, and that's what's weird. When you have this big of a lead, you should be forcing these fights as much as possible, especially with your lineup that you have where Nukeduck, he can't assassinate anyone on your team just yet. Tabs isn't that strong. He finally has his Muramana picked up, but he's going for, it looks like, that Iceborne Gauntlet next, and you want to fight as soon as possible since you're this far ahead. Like, you're tanky, you have the damage. It's just about setting up the fight where you want to go. Maybe these losses they've been getting over these past couple of weeks is actually kind of throwing them off, like they don't know where to go from it.
Well, they go back in towards Baron now that they know that there is no vision in there, but the lack of any MeetYourMakers players around will probably give that one away as a true shot barrage comes through, and MeetYourMakers back off completely once again.
And I wonder how long they're going to keep this dance up. I mean, if anything, they've taken a lot of damage, they end up backing away, and that allows Lemondogs to pick up some farm every single time. And we do see still a huge lead between the mid laners, but I was about to say Nukeduck's catching up, but he's not really. He needs kills. Like, CS, it doesn't matter for him at this point. He needs to pick something up. And Lemondogs, I think they're going to be the first one to give. They're going to be the first one to really force a fight here.
Well, Charu is going to be continuing to split push up here, but still, the thing is, it's dangerous to be going that far up here because of the fact that there are there's no turrets around there, and Lemondogs, you know, you can't cover every last inch of their jungle. Let's be honest about it.
Don't tell that to Libic, he might try.
Although I think Libic has been going a pretty solid step towards achieving that. But this is going to be a dragon, and this is going to tip them over that 10,000 gold.
And what are they waiting for?
I think Christmas.
They want to beat that 105,000 gold that SK had earlier on today.
Could be a long game that we're in for then.
Could be.
No, but you can understand it at the same time. I mean, every game is important in the LCS.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. It's a long season, don't get me wrong, but every game, especially between, you know, teams that are ranked right now 3rd and 4th on 5 wins, 4 losses, and 4 wins, 5 losses respectively, that this is an important one for them as we see Destiny being popped. And he's going to go to the top to continue his split push.
Yep. And we have to keep in mind, like you're saying, the wins. Like, think about what they're working towards, you know, at the end of the season. It's the World Finals. It's not, you know, just a huge chunk of money that you get like in the spring split, but it's a chance to be on the world stage. Everyone's seeing you, how many millions of people end up watching, and to be able to call yourselves one of the best teams in the world. So you're definitely right. Every game definitely matters, but the thing is, when you go against the teams from the other regions, in the, you know, if you do get to the World Finals, they're not going to let something like this slide. Like, you have to fix a problem like this very early on.
Well, you can only imagine that MeetYourMakers don't believe that they're as far ahead as they actually are.
That's what I'm thinking.
I can't see another fully rational explanation for this one currently. Just to touch on the items here again, seeing Phantom Dancer and the Last Whisper now added into the Bloodthirster for Draven. Also, for Twisted Fate, now got a Void Staff on top of his Rabadon's Death Cap and a Lich Bane. For Irelia, going in for that Hex String.
Yeah, so he doesn't want to get bursted down by Nukeduck, but again, he doesn't have that much damage. Char going to go ahead against Sora. Zero does some good damage to him, but still, it's not enough to kill him, and we do see Nukeduck in the vicinity to try to go in on him.
Can't kill a Shen, I'm afraid, at this point. Charo needs probably about another 200, 300 AP for that. And a little bit more time in that lane to get things going. Libic, with the Oracle still, he's going to be clearing out more wards. We Will Fail finally took the dive and picked up a Oracle of his own as about 4,000 wards go down at once there. And the support's going to be getting their money back, unless your jungler takes it away from you, as Makata just did there. I still don't get that. I mean, support play, you know, he's got to buy those oracles. You could at least give him the 25 gold for each ward that he clears.
Yeah, and then you can also, on the other side of that, feed the money over to someone else. We do see the ultimate anticipate coming in. Actually going to push middle, but it's a Jarvan. He gets away, so Dexter not too worried. I mean, see, okay, so this is what was really confusing to me is that back in the last split, the teams that had problems closing out games didn't win them. And, you know, the teams that were, you know, the top 4 teams that we saw back in Season 2 were able to close out the games.
aren't even trying, there's a difference
that's what's weird, is that MeetYourMakers, they started off so strong in the split, and they were so aggressive, but their aggression just completely changed. They're now really passive. They're going for Baron here, but Lemondogs, they're going to scare him off it, and MeetYourMakers just going to back away most likely.
Yeah, Libic taking a bit of damage there, and that was the most thrilling Baron dance we've seen up to now. Half of Libic's health gone. It's a new record, I think, in these 32 minutes for now. It's actually a really low-scoring game as well for, you know, how developed it is. It's only 32 minutes, which is not actually that long. But it's at 5-4 in kills. You know, MeetYourMakers, they grouped up, take a turret, group up, take a turret, group up, take a turret. And now
they stopped like 15 minutes ago doing that.
Stop taking turrets because, quite frankly, I think they feel it's a step too far for them right now to be starting to go under those inhibitor turrets to get things. Pretty sure they want a Baron at this point. If we look at the gold there, between Twisted Fate and Kassadin, 14,500 to 7,900. You surely realize that difference as a player.
I would hope so. I would definitely hope so. I mean, you would expect it. They should know. But I mean, in the end, it's their decision to do what they want.
Of course.
If they want to take it slow, if they want to take it fast, and if they want to, you know, use it as practice being in the situation. But I don't really think the situation comes around that often. But looks like Baron might be started up again. I think this is Libic's 17th Oracle now. As it will be started, and they're taking this down, and no one in Lemondogs actually in the vicinity to stop this. So it looks like they finally might get Baron here, Joe.
Don't speak too soon, but it could happen. We do have the 2-shot barrage, and that is going to come in, and now they realize, oh, they're quite far done with it this time around, and there is the pickup for MeetYourMakers. Is that going to be what they've been waiting for here to actually start to push in, and really are going to be going home here and finishing up whatever item Kubon decides to go in for their next? Already got that Giant's Belt in at this point, so expected him to build something in with that.
I think they just wanted to farm Baron like they farmed Dragon. Like, they're not going to push, they just wanted to, you know, want the extra gold, want the buff, but they've got to be pushing out. Like, they have to. They have such a huge lead, 13,000 almost at this point. Like you mentioned before, the mid laners, Charo almost double the CS, or sorry, not double the CS, but, well, he is double the CS, but almost double the gold. But we did see Charo actually pick up a Deathfire's Grasp, which, it's not a bad item in Twisted Fate, but it's not typically an item you see him pick up.
I can't remember the last time we said the difference between 2 mid laners CS was 180. That's a big margin for Twisted Fate. And a margin that you can actually see to gauge how far ahead you actually are in the game as well. As you said, DFG now added in to his arsenal. We've got that Warmogs now for Makata, so he's a lot chunkier and a lot tankier. On the other side, Randuin's Omen finished with that Sunfire Cape for the Shen. We've got the Runic Bulwark, something that we don't actually have over for MeetYourMakers at this point, so they decided against that. Charo is going to destiny in towards the rest of his team here around blue.
He's not doing a split push, Joe. He's actually joining his team here. We might see a fight break out in the next 5 minutes, hopefully, as it's going to be coming around. But he's grouping up, and this means that they want to make something happen. He's going to split push. And MeetYourMakers, with that Oracle, are they going to wait for someone to face check? Because they might be able to get a very easy pick on him.
Well, I can't remember the last time that Lemondogs have ventured into their own jungle, really, without having those wards down. So I think the likelihood of someone face-checking right there next to the blue buff at this point is pretty slim. There's another dragon for MeetYourMakers. And Nuke here, he's going to be waiting. But, you know, he's Kassadin. He's slippery enough he can get himself away from that. As actually Zoro going to be jumped on there. And, of course, he can just taunt himself away. Nuke and Dexter are actually waiting here. They're going to go in. They're going to go in on towards Charo. He's going to get knocked up. He's a dead man here. Nice kill coming out for Lemondogs. But how many more can they get? Probably not a lot here as Kubon gets one. Makler going to pick one up. The taunt comes in on towards Makata, but Kubon is right on top of the Dexter here for this one. They see the flashes as Lemondogs try desperately to escape. That ends in a 2-for-1 in favor of MeetYourMakers, and they might be able to finally get in onto inhibitor turret.
I think he spoke too soon. But they saw right there that, wow, Lemondogs, even killing Charo right off the bat when he has that much CS, that much gold total, they still couldn't win the fight. You saw how much damage Makler did with that Bloodthirster Fan Answer last Whisper combo, where We Will Failure just dropped insanely fast. But MeetYourMakers backed off in the end, which is honestly kind of surprising. They don't need Charu for this. They're up against 2 tanks and 1 DPS out of tabs. Like, they could probably dive that turret on these guys.
I have to say, though, from Lemondogs' point of view, that was actually a really cool setup that they had going on there. 2 men just hiding, and after how this has gone, MeetYourMakers never guessed in a million years that there were going to be 2 men hiding in that brush there on that bottom lane. So, nice little setup from Lemondogs. Just see the teleport coming in for Charu. He's got his Destiny available. Don't worry about that one, guys. And now MeetYourMakers start to work their way in. Dexter is actually waiting off to the side. It looks like Lemondogs, they're feeling like their only comeback in this game is to literally set traps.
Yeah, they kind of need to go for a fight. And I'm so surprised Lemondogs didn't try to kill Mackler right off the bat, because Charu, yeah, he's gonna be really painful to deal with, but Mackler, like, he's AD carry. We're late game. We're 38 minutes in. You got to get rid of him right away. And right now, Dexter, he's not being spotted here, but obviously he's very slippy. He's going to get over the wall if he does get seen, as he does right there. And it looks like MeetYourMakers with this wave, they might be getting some damage onto this turret.
Charu can actually do a lot of damage here. They are going to hook in Zoro Zero. And he's not the target that you want to be pulling anywhere near your team. You want to get that torn over the entire bunch of them. But right now, MeetYourMakers running things down. Of course, the Baron buff has now run out, and looks like we might have to see another Baron before MeetYourMakers go for a push.
I think what did they accomplish off that Baron? 2 kills.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. I mean,
well,
it's a Baron buff.
That's all they did, actually,
yeah.
So you can leave it at that, because there was nothing more.
It's a Baron buff when you already had 13,000 gold lead. I mean, what more could you possibly want at that point to take a turret down, to finish a game? 20,000?
14,000 gold lead, which is what they've pretty much got now. That could obviously go a little bit further. And we are almost going to see double CS for Twisted Fate over Kassadin for this one, which, considering that number is 400 to 200, that's actually kind of ridiculous.
It is. I mean, considering how, well, okay, I was going to say long, but how quick the game has been so far in terms of 39 minutes, having more than 10 farm a minute. It's very, very good job by him. But he hasn't been able to make plays off it. Like, you have all the money in the world, but if you don't kill someone, if you don't fight, what's the point of it? You know, you're letting them farm up. You're letting them get to the point where in the game where they're going to have a lot of damage and be able to actually take one of you out right away, which we saw happen to Charu. So, I mean, MeetYourMakers, they might have actually even thrown the game, but just dragging it out this long.
Well, I think if there was ever a game for cheering the ward kills, this could possibly be it. As MeetYourMakers going the hard way, Libic again. Got himself an Oracle. Pretty sure he actually gets a bulk discount from the shop by this point. He's actually bought that many of them. He's a very loyal customer for those Oracles in every week for a fresh one. He's got the Giant's Belt in there as well, a couple of Ruby Crystals, so he's actually pretty tanky for an army.
And he's got a lot of health, so he's trying to soak up a lot of damage, but the thing is, he's not going to be focused down by Lemondogs. Nope. But watch, right as I say that, they're going to focus him down right here in a second. But I mean, that's not the target they want to kill. They got to get rid of Mackler, Charu, and Kuban, who hasn't really built an item in quite a while now that I think about it. The Bilge Water Cutlass has been it, but it looks like MeetYourMakers going to try to... I'm not going to say it. I don't want to jinx it. They might try to siege the turret down. Well,
I think the problem is that the dredge lines there from Makata, both times that we've seen him, have landed onto Shen, which is just not the target. Neither is Jarvan, as we are going to see Makata actually get hooked into this one. They might be forced to fight. We Will Failure gets absolutely destroyed, and MeetYourMakers going to back away from this one. Makata almost went down, but the Baron, is coming up in just over 20 seconds time.
Oh no, they're trying to bait Lemondogs in here. They might be able to make something happen.
No, they're going to throw the flag in. As we are going to see Aqua Prism actually landing on 2. It's onto the 2 tanky men, but they've switched over towards Nuke. Zoro Zero taking a lot of damage, but as is Kuban right now. Dexter going to be walking himself away. Charu going to join the fight. Tabs all alone there. He's finished off, and that will be 3 kills overall. Nuke actually survived with nothing now. He's going to be hunted down by Kuban, and that will be 4. They're going to go for the Baron, though, before they make another push.
And considering that this much of a goal difference, MeetYourMakers having so many items at this point, look how close that fight was in the end, where they almost killed Kuban, they almost killed Makate right off the bat, Charu almost died. Like, they almost won that fight. If the execution was a little bit different, Tabs might have been able to clean up, but that is the second Baron of the game going to MeetYourMakers now. They're going to go home and buy up a couple more items as Mackler, 3,000 gold.
A lot of gold. They're all sat on a lot of gold right now. Mackler,
3,000 gold almost.
3,000 gold, 1,600 for Charu, 2,800. Let's call that 3,000 as well. Why not for Kuban? they can buy a lot of things here. Well, if they don't realize now that they can push for the win, I think I'm off home. No, obviously not really. But we'll see what they end up picking up with all that money that they've been earning here. Looks like they want to get that wave down at the bottom, which means that Mackler's going to be sitting more like 3.5k by the time he actually does decide to go home from this one. And it's funny because MeetYourMakers have had such a stranglehold on the game, but they've actually got less wards down now in the Lemondogs jungle than I think we've seen pretty much all game, which is kind of strange considering that they've been caught out by that trap before.
I think I know why. Because Libic bought every single ward possibly in the store and there's none left.
Because he bought a Warmogs instead. That's what he went for after that. But he has just put a ward up towards that blue buff, which Nukeduck was actually just sniffing around there. Actually will be the Destiny. Charu going to join the rest of his team. I mean, he's pretty mobile with both that Destiny in there and those distortion boots as well, which obviously means his teleport is going to be on the cooldown even further. So he can be zipping around the map all over the place. Not really done too much in terms of split pushing though, actually.
Yeah, if he split push with the Lich Bane, with the amount of AP he has.
It's a dancing fish right there.
Just imagining Libic as he's so tall, so buff.
I don't want to imagine
anything
not that.
No, I wasn't even going that direction. That was your mind. I was saying plain Nami. And like, I don't know. Yeah. Imagine him on Sirach would be kind of funny.
Exactly. So, right now, MeetYourMakers are going to be pushing up. Oh, there's a hook on towards Kuban. Not followed up, though, here. And right now, they are going to get some damage down onto the turret. Are they going to be able to finish it off here? Actually, Makata going to dredge line away. They've still got minions in there, so they could still be hitting this turret. There we go. There it is. The inhibitor turret going down. You'd imagine that this inhibitor itself will be falling straight afterwards as well. And MeetYourMakers, well in the driving seat in this game, are going to take the first inhibitor after 43 minutes. And that's with, I think, about 35 of them being in a solid lead.
Yep. That is, I mean, they've been in the lead for, I think, well, no, not 40 minutes. Lemondogs obviously played very well in the beginning, but 35, that's about right, Joe, to be honest. And they're just going to back away now, maybe push middle lane, let this bottom Superman waves push up. Ideally, that's what they're going to do. We'll see if that actually happens, if it comes into fruition. But, God, he's just too tanky. And you saw Libic soak up the damage out of Nukeduck. Like, he took a Q off of him, didn't drop him anywhere because of that Warmog, because of the regen he's going to get off of that. Plus Baron, like, he can take a lot of damage.
Well, right now, MeetYourMakers are going to be heading towards the second inhibitor turret. Makata could just stand under it right now.
I thought he was healing more than he was taking off that.
I think he could just stand under it right now and just take all those hits from the turret. But MeetYourMakers still a little bit wary of getting themselves in there. That Baron buff has not got too much time left on it, Jason. We may be looking at Baron number 3.
Oh, I'm so excited now. We might see as many as EG got earlier on today. Actually, oh, that was SK, actually, who surpassed EG the amount of Barons they've taken in a game. But they've got Baron buff. Nukeduck is behind him. He's got to be careful here. Obviously, he's going to be able to get over that wall and be fine. But now he might get caught by Charu.
Yeah, Charu actually coming in. Dead. There's the stun, and he's a dead man from this. Oh, no! He actually gets over there with the Lantern. That was the Draven ultimate. I told you he was dead. I knew that was going to happen. Great move with the Lantern, but not quite enough to actually hold him off. There are the minions gone. Finally, Makata says, guys, I'm pretty sure between us we can tank this turret down. And we are going to see inhibitor number 2 going down. Nukeduck's not up for 50 seconds here. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that MeetYourMakers might just try and finish this game right here, right now. As actually they are going to be going in towards this one. Dexter right at the back will put down a good Cataclysm. Locks up 4 men from that one. Tab's going low. We will fail it going very low. The Stand United from Zoro0 will actually take him right back onto the fountain. But the Nexus turrets are taking damage right now. There's one. Are they going to be able to finish off? Actually, Dexter will slide in once again. Libic and Charu are both going very, very low here, but Zoro0 will die. Tabs is locked up in the Aqua Prism, and this is going to be the finish for MeetYourMakers. Dexter is going to be starting to fall. A good hook and a slide away from Dexter will get him back, but the Nexus turrets have gone down. The Nexus is going to be focused, and that will be